So as we're about to enter the new year, let this thing sink in. 2016 would be 10 years ago. Like, yeah, I cannot believe it. This is just insane how time really just flew. What's up, everybody? This is Willie, and for today's video, like a tradition that I'm gonna start doing, which is my year in reflection on YouTube, particularly reflecting on the videos that I made throughout this year and express how I felt about their performance and also share some fun facts of the behind the scenes aspects to them. And now to talk generally about my time on YouTube this year, I'll say it was surprising for me. Like, I did have a lot of ups and downs for the most part, but generally this is the year where I officially dedicated my time to my social media, especially my YouTube channel. Which finally, since Christmas, is also celebrating my 10-year anniversary when I released my first ever video back in my old channel that has since been deleted. And hey, I bet your eyebrows raised. Well, whenever I reach my goal of getting 1,000 subscribers, maybe I will start going through some history and talk about this old channel that I used to have. So please take that time to subscribe and like this video. But yeah, without me dedicating a lot to this channel, I've been now producing way more videos often than before, where back in last year, I did remember saying that I would just upload one video each month, but I felt like the thought of it just feels way too half-measured, and I wanted to stay a lot more consistent with my channel, especially if I want to make this a really big staple in my life. So without any sort of announcement, I just started this YouTube routine where I would upload a video every week, and thus accumulating dozens of videos this year, which the sum is much more greater than 2024's. And so with that does play a major factor on how I'm gonna do this reflection video, where I'm just gonna go through each month and briefly reflect on the videos that I put out in those respective months, and briefly describe how my channel performed in each month. And I like to use this as a way to highlight the timeline of my progress as a small YouTuber and look back on how I've improved. And so enough here on my yap, let's get into it. So let's all start off with January, where I released these videos, and truthfully, it's clear that the 2B&B retrospective was the biggest highlight out of all of them. And it also further elicits to me that these kind of retrospective videos are worthwhile, not only for my enjoyment of rewatching a show that premiered 20 years ago, but also using my own channel to express my experience and deliver my own personal commentary for the joy of others. And I think that's going to be a precedent that I'm going to be setting with this channel moving forward, where each year I'll at least have some sort of 20-year retrospective on a TV show, where, to give some highlight, 2024 was The Backyardigans, this year 2025 was 2B&B New, and next year 2026, spoiler alert, will be The Wonder Pets. So it is videos to that range that I will be making at a point every year. But anyways, afterwards we have a video reviewing New York fries. It was delicious. Then we have a stretch of some reality TV videos that, for the most part, just have been really mid with their performance. And truthfully, that fire making video is one that I kind of forgot that I even made. But really, the little attention these videos get stems from the fact that reality TV is just not the kind of topic that suits well for my channel. And even in the way I introduce it, it's not really in an interesting way, which I'll take responsibility for that. And the same thing applies to that art video where I just wanted to share my little redesign of one of my basically prized possession artworks, which is famously now my social media profile. So at least there's some sort of merit to it, but it just felt like a very hit or miss presentation of it. So January as a whole was just fine, mostly on the first thirds of it. Which then we get to February, where it really had a minimal amount of videos, which, to be fair, there was one video that was intended to be released on the final day of the month, but got delayed a day later due to some other personal things. But yeah, looking back at this month, it was definitely not the greatest at the time for my channel, as I continuously made videos that wasn't really suiting well with my demographics. As like, it is clear to me that reality TV is something that is not highly familiarized with those who tune in to watch me cover like animated media in that caliber. And even though I could have done ways to make it interesting to introduce the whole genre to people, I just didn't do it in an engaging way. So that's what led to me having some pretty mediocre performances. And then to speak on that last video, which is an animation video, where to this day I'm still pretty disappointed that it didn't really blow up as much, considering I was inspired by its concept thanks to my candy salad video that I did last year, where it had a sudden spike in its algorithm. So I thought I would do the same thing for this video. And in my opinion, it does have a much more better plot, but I really don't think I was able to represent that in the most unique way possible with how I animated it. So it is what it is. But even with much adversity I was facing at that time, I was not going to let that discourage me from trying to conceive better ideas to develop a sort of rebound with my platform in the coming months. And with me also sodding for some video tips, I did begin to start brainstorming some better video ideas that primarily focuses on animated media. And then that takes us to March, where that burger contest video was the one that I was talking about being delayed. And yeah, it kind of became that final straw for me after my hard work for it not really paying off much once it was released to the public. And afterwards, that's when I started to comprehend my niche a bit better and seeing how much my demographics really enjoyed my coverage on shows I talked about before. It led me to brainstorm ideas on continuing to make some coverage on some blended with some interesting topics to have a factor, and thus contributing to some strong videos in the likes of the Backyardigans episode ranking, the Rescue Riders rating video. Like, that approach was what really brought me back on the right path with my platform. And also, we do have those filler videos like the Harvey's review, which at this point, who cares? And then the Dumb Ways to Die 2 Top 10 Fails, which is a filler video, but also at the same time, for a little fact, I wasn't intending to make it as that respective week. It was pertaining to the Book Hungry Bears retrospective video that since January, I had scheduled it to release on that final week of March. However, I just wanted to get a little more productive, and so that factored into my choice of pursuing that Dumb Ways to Die video. And I look back at it feeling pretty blessed with making it, as the whole video idea is something that I had listed for a while, and I think it was a brilliant time to make it just so I can somewhat fill in a schedule, but at the same time have double videos come out that week. And to talk about the Book Hungry Bears retrospective, it's another case where although it's not as popular of a show, I still enjoyed the whole making of it. And what I wanted to do was to use my platform to really spruce up its reputation so I can at least try to give the show more recognition than it deserves. And while the retrospective video itself is having a slow performance, it did still garner some attention to introduce viewers to this underrated modern show. But yeah, March in general was kind of a strong early start to my channel's resurgence, and it also helps me reflect on what I've learned to find a niche side of content that is viable for my channel moving forward. And then to April, which I can describe as a continuation of my resurgence on YouTube, where though yes, I still continued the tropes of covering reality TV on the channel, I did improve, so I had much more above average performances. But for other videos, really the big hit was the Total Drama video, which is the first ever time I actually covered any sort of media of total drama on my channel, and I guess sort of not a better way to cover it is than to talk about its latest news of its cancellation. And I'm still pretty sad that it's essentially over. Then we got some filler content like the Red Lobster review and the Flip Line Order video, because it was inspired by what I've seen on its respective platform where people were just sharing pictures of their personal orders. So it gave me the idea of making an entire video to share my personal orders from every restaurant, because I don't think anyone has done that before. So it's nice enough to try and make something that's groundbreaking. And then the final video of the month being the top 5 childhood shows, which for some behind the scenes, I am currently rewatching the Wonder Pets show for its retrospective next year. By how it's going, it's potentially making its way to move up a spot on the rankings. It's not fully guaranteed, but it has that potential, so we'll see where it goes. But yeah, another solid month for me where I continue to grow, where I'll admit, based on the analytics, this is the strongest month thus far. So I was feeling a strong sense of blessing, which all that hubris would go plummeting down as we start to move along. And then we go to May, which was solid enough for 3/4 of it until it kind of petered out in the back third. So I started off strong with total drama coverage on the channel because I definitely needed to express my overall thoughts on the reboot. And talking about reboot, it was finally time that I made a full form video to express my thoughts on the Backyardigans reboot, which obviously was negative. And to be fair, although I should have done it earlier, like right away when it first released, I felt like I wanted to wait till I had enough material from them as possible so I can really have more information to grasp on. So that's why I ended up making more of my review on it much later than usual. But in retrospective, I still tend to wish that I did make some like early thoughts video about it as soon as after it came out. And then there's that review on the first season of Rebel Crew where I wanted to create this sort of series where I review each of its seasons as it ends. And everyone knows how outspoken I've been about how mid the show is. And although the first season in retrospect is fine for the most part, and it's just not really impactful, and most of the main characters themselves are either bland or just way too hammy. Where really Wheeler is the only good character from the show because he at least offers something unique to the table, but everything else with the show is just so rudimentary. And then after that, just more reality TV content with Amazing Race and Survivor in particular concluding in that respective month. But outside that, the other sort of videos were just covers I wanted to make. But yeah, just a month that was pretty much losing its steam in its final quarters. So then to June, which this is where the algorithm for my channel really started to peter out. And so to get to the videos, we start off with my trailer breakdown for the 49th Survivor season. And yeah, the trailer itself didn't really make me feel hype. And honestly, now with the context of the season, it definitely was ripe for that. But next I have that retrospective video on the Famous Artist reality show. And while it underperformed, it was also going to be the last ever reality TV video I would make on the channel, as moving forward, I would now move any sort of my reality TV content to my second channel because straight up, it just started to bother me when I posted these on the main channel when they felt so out of place. So yeah, and then we are just left with 2 filler videos, with the first one being one that had me make my predictions for my future, and looking at now and then, there wasn't really much of a change, but maybe over the years to come, then there'll be something to really glean on. And lastly, that Hitchhiker's Fun video, which was inspired by a load of comments when they complimented on me having that type of fun from one of my videos on TikTok. So I thought it would have been at least fun to make some sort of satire video surrounding that, and although it didn't translate well the algorithm, I still had the joy in making some sort of content that speaks to the comical lens. But yeah, it still ended up falling flat, and by the end of it, June was just a month that I was too fixated on other personal stuff more than my channel, which is what led me to only prioritize making filler videos because of the time constraints. And then to July, which looking back is probably the biggest low point for my channel, where none of these videos really popped at all. And even with some videos that I was hoping to make some sort of peak, like both the total drama videos, they somehow also underperformed too much to my dismay. And yeah, we were also filled with some filler videos like the story of my time in Quebec, my Outlaster story, and the Kelsey's food review. Like even then, none of them was barely getting any attention. And then the Dragon's 9 Realms ranking, which is another case where it's performing pretty slowly, but at least it hasn't petered out its pace either. But then we got that Sonic movie review video, which I do really regret how I formulated that video, where because I had a lot more leisure this month, I wanted to take the chance to upload 2 times a week. So it brought a bit of a pressure to me to try and get everything done on time, which did contribute to me choosing to formulate my review in a very underwhelming way, with me just talking to the camera and giving my commentary, which also reduced any sort of visual of the movies. And yeah, looking back, I don't know what the heck was I thinking. And even someone in the comments did chastise me for my video format, which at this point, there may be a potential that I do a remake of this video, but with the better format that has better quality to it. And honestly, I'm not opposed to creating that video as a way to make up for its lackluster counterpart. But yeah, honestly, in general, July just was the biggest plummet for my analytics and algorithm, and it really discouraged me a lot, where I was just so checked out at that point. But you know what, even with that, I couldn't just stop, because YouTube can be unpredictable, and at points, maybe some of these videos will get a sudden skyrocket in views and such sorts. Also, it's an easy way to motivate me to just make more videos where I focus in on its quality rather than the quantity. And taking us now to August, where it did start somewhat of a tad rebound, which is mostly the back half of the month with the last 4 videos, where the first 3 did not really reach its full potential. And I mean, 2 of them are fillers, as the first one was my birthday vlog, and yes, surreal that I'm 20 years old, like I can't believe it. But then the other one being a milestones review, where I try to be as self-aware as possible, where I even reflect on my concerns of the low algorithm on the channel. But even then, the video itself did not get much of a strong algorithm, so I don't think much people even saw that. And then we had the Knuckles review, which again, I like the show more than most of the general fan base, and even though the show itself premiered over a year before I actually made a review on it, I still wanted to give my commentary on it. And yeah, like I said, it's a show that I did come out of it enjoying it. Is it better than the Sonic movie franchise as a whole? No, it would be on the bottom, but looking at the show individually, yes, it has that mirror to get some of the joy out of it. And a little fun fact, if you were keeping up with my timeline, this video was actually posted in July. However, the first upload had a messed up audio. We're listening to it, it felt like I was having too much ear rape, and honestly, I could have been lazy and just not done anything to it, but the more I think about it, the more it just bothered me, so I just ended up re-recording the entire video just to fix the audio. And also at the same time, it's a way to experiment if the new upload was gonna have a better algorithm than the original upload. And while it still didn't really live up to its potential, I still am hopeful that it'll pop eventually. But then to the last 4 that I was mentioning finally popping to a degree, it really started from that total drama season ranking, which was finally refreshing to see a video actually perform decently. And same thing applies to the live action How to Train Your Dragons movie review, which although is still on the low ends, at least the video quality and format is better than the Sonic movie review, which was just straight up terrible. The 2B&B new episode tier list was something that I had a blast making, and I'm still amazed that it didn't lose its pace. And then we got the Rubble and Crew season 2 review, which obviously I had to make so I could be fully caught up with the series. And even as time goes on, I'm continuing to be lower on the season, because that's the problem with Rubble and Crew, in that it does not have a lasting impact. But yeah, to reflect on August, it was a slight rebound for me. Then moving on to September, where Generally, it really starts to pick up once that Rescue Riders season ranking video was released, which was the early stage of this renaissance in my channel's performance once again, something that I have been missing out for 4 freaking months. That being said, the other videos I made on this channel were just straight up filler, and it got to the point where I started to understand that the kind of videos like these that I have been making way too often have just been very detached from the niche that I've well established for this channel. And so stuff like the Genre Dash rankings and the Papa's Gameria rankings would be this final exhibition of just filler heavy content that has been the bulk of my channel across the year so far. And because of how frequent it was, it does contribute to the lackluster performance. And that Mary Brown's chicken review, being that final video in that sort of caliber, was sort of fitting as how much I do enjoy making those food reviews. It's just another one, just like my reality TV videos, feels very out of place, and the more recent ones that I made has just not been feasible for my channel. And I've mentioned that in the announcement before to alert all of you to know that I am letting go of this series. Well, to compromise for that, I will still be uploading the shorts versions of them because it won't take too much of my time to put them together. And also at the same time, the long form versions just became a bit repetitive, where I just had no more groundbreaking ideas on how I was going to edit them. So then at the end of the month with the Dragon's Rescue Rider season ranking video, it's that where my channel truly starts to revolutionize its algorithm once again, and that would quickly gloss over to the following month. And that carried over to October, where from then to now, every one of my videos have had such outstanding performance, with some reaching to a significant degree, much more than any of the content that I released during the summer, which is just ironic since I had more leisure during the summertime. But here we see videos like the Zootopia 2 trailer breakdown, which went decently well. And then we have that Backyard Against Me and My Friends pilot video, which I felt like I needed to make a review on, since the show is the reason that I made this channel, and it would be completely preposterous if I didn't have some sort of say in what I thought about it. And then following that, we have another Backyard Against video, which I always branded as the most silliest idea ever, and I still really mean to that in a certain degree because a lot of it just doesn't really make sense. But the whole notion of ranking Pablo's panic attacks was definitely something that was an innovative idea that I wanted to establish, and yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed that and found it pretty comical too. So at least I tried to stay humble for that. And then lastly, to end off the month, we had that Dogman video where basically I'm just focusing in on differences in the movie that I liked that wasn't in the books. And while its performance is not as comparable to the others, it still was pretty above average. And honestly, Dogman is one of my favorite movies from this year, and even though I do kind of regret not making some sort of review on the movie, which to be fair would probably be too late at this point as it's not really getting much talks anymore, I still wanted to find a way to at least have some sort of video about it, and what better way than some sort of like semi-comparison video like this. And to be more open, a lot of this just stems from the fact that I just love Petey the cat as a character. He's just the biggest gem of not only this movie but the series as a whole. But yeah, October, an incredibly solid month, and what I would describe the renaissance. And a tad same thing for November too. While not as peaking as October, still didn't really regress much as well. We're to talk about the videos in particular, we've got like my early thoughts on the To Be and Binu reboot, which I'm still enjoying as the new episodes are dropping, and I've been loving what it's offering, especially with its new characters, with Coco and Ed in particular being my personal favorites of the new characters. And then we have that Rubble & Crew Season 3 review, which funnily, if you do pay attention to my announcements, I was intending to have it uploaded in October. However, yours truly just doesn't even check the fact that the season isn't actually complete despite season 4 airing around the corner, and that just shows you how unorganized Nickelodeon is when it comes to these episodes. So with only 2 episodes really missing, I had to shelve the review until November as those episodes finally aired. So I just completed my review on them and got the full season review out on YouTube. And likewise, I'm just so checked out of the show at this point, where I promise I will do season 4, but afterwards I'm not really sure if I wanna continue making my coverage on it. So I am still contemplating, but it is something that I want to update you guys on as I am reflecting on it. And lastly, we have the Spirit Rangers review, which I was highly requested for this show, and one big fact, I was intending to make this video on its 5th year anniversary. However, when I thought about it more, the more I felt like I was just restricting myself, and honestly I just wanted to break out of the mold and just make a straight up review on the show just because I had the leisure to do it, and so I did. And it was a fun show, definitely shocking to me considering the modern tropes of animation have been atrocious, but this one doesn't really follow suit of that, which was great. And yeah, it's a modern show that I'm pretty high on, and it's something that I would kindly recommend to others. And then that finally takes us to December, where once again it follows up with the strong suits of the last 2 months, where I made another trailer breakdown, this time on the movie Hoppers, which I am still looking forward to as it comes out next year. Which that video, although I do wish I made it much earlier when the first trailer came out, there was just a lot of personal things as well as scheduling conflicts that averted me from covering it much earlier, but I still wanted to try and get it out as soon as I can without being too late, and the video's performance proved that I wasn't too late. And then that leads to my videos of me covering The Amazing Digital Circus, which I never saw personally when it first came out and I never even heard of. But back in like September is when I started getting invested into it, and it wasn't until December that I truly started watching the full episodes and instantly got attached to the series, which is also fun to finally get an indie animation covered on this channel, as now introduced me to the world of indie animations, and I've been watching many more since then. And then to the latest video, which is the Zootopia sequel movie review, and I genuinely like the whole process into making it, and it kind of is a strong reflection that takes me back to the fatal flaws with my Sonic movie review, and so learning from that and actually putting much more experiment with better quality in the review is what helps boon the algorithm with its performance. So yeah, December, more of the same with its strong suits, and hopefully that can translate over to the next few months and I don't have to suffer another disastrous algorithm like I did back in the summer. And to be fair, with my channel still growing as more viewers are taking their chances to subscribe to me and watch more of my content that I'm going to put out down the road, it's definitely making me stay motivated to not let my foot off the gas pedal. But that wraps up my reflection on my YouTube in 2025, which looking back, it definitely was a timeline of my evolution throughout the year, where I came from really like simplistic edits with just the screenshot format to now where I would display more visual footage that is blended with my commentary, which I'm blessed to see how much I've really experimented with a lot of unique style of editing with my videos and not just staying in one sort of mold, and demonstrating how I actively branch out a bit to have a more diversified style of videos. And this is going to be the precedent moving forward with my channel. And to generally reflect on how my channel performed over the year, it was one that had an average start but then really picked up through like the 2/3 of it until the middle stretch. Basically the summertime is where everything for my channels became a slog, but then everything picked back up by the back third of the year, and it's really made me feel a sense of satisfaction that I did not let that discourage me or stop me from producing videos, because I absolutely enjoy doing this and putting out my personal commentary on like animated or any sort of televised media I can cover. And speaking of the back third really picking up, it stems from the fact that I deprived myself from making any sort of filler content and started to stay within the niche, combined with a more better quality sort of editing that has helped put a spike to my algorithm, and that is what has given me such immense motivation to persevere. And now for a brief update for my channel coming into 2026, I am going to be a lot more heavy-handed on the content that fits right into my niche. So learning from this year, I will be minimizing the amount of filler videos I'll be putting out. However, it's not the end-all be-all, because there's still going to be some that I have planned to make. It's just not going to be as frequent as before, because those are what was really harming my channel in that slog period. So likewise, they may come once in a while, but I'm definitely not going to be posting a barrage of them like I did this year. And then lastly, to talk about the scheduling, at times I do try to post 2 videos a week, but then there's this aspect that I've been very outspoken about on our announcements, but I'll say it here that I'm a student at a post-secondary, so because of the workflow that is being brought on me and having to balance that with my work time on YouTube, it does contribute to me having to only be able to post 1 video a week. And on top of that, I unfortunately cannot guarantee that at most times, because the academic workload could get really hectic at points, which if that is likely to happen again in the future, I will make an announcement to stay transparent with you all. And I know from what you can tell, that puts a lot of pressure on me, especially in this time, and at times it has mentally drained me, but I want to try and set out as much balance as I can to create some sort of flexibility so I can stay consistent with producing more videos to my capacity. And seeing that I am close to reaching 1,000 subscribers, is this that helps me keep up the work to reach my goal, and I strive to accomplish that. So that's pretty much where I'm at. That's my reflection on the 2025 year of YouTube. So with that, I appreciate you guys tuning in.